In today's video, we're going to talk about 6'3" defenseman Jackson Smith. He finished the year with 54 points in 68 games, which is pretty decent, and most of the production came out in the second half of the year. At first, I saw him as a player who would inevitably experience an identity crisis upon his arrivals at the pros. The reason is, as soon as he realized that his skating can allow him to create offense, he kind of neglected the defensive side of his game. For example, by trying to leave his zone too early to join the rush. I wasn't too sure that the offense would translate and the defense needed some fine-tuning, so this led to some uncomfortable questions. What does Smith want to be at the next level, and will that really be his seat at the next level? My biggest concern was that he would fall in between two chairs. Too at risk defensively and not a real offensive quarterback either. By the end of the year, he still shows some inconsistencies in his defensive game and his offensive game, but he did manage to win me over and silence some of the doubt I had about his game. The qualities are simply too high to ignore, and I believe that the foundation is solid enough to make him a player that can earn the trust of his coaching staff. Smith's game relies heavily on his skating. To me, he's an elite skater. At 6'3", he generates a ton of power with each of his strides, and his strides are fast, they're linked together quickly. To me, he almost looks like a horse galloping at full speed, and his rivals can only be helpless in front of such display of power.
But it's right onto the stick of Carter McAdams as Tri-City skates ahead 3-on-2. McAdams looking rink wide. Jackson Smith.
One penalty over for the Royals and only 8 seconds left on the penalty to Fryer. Smith walking quickly to the right-hand side with speed. Going around Ross on the backhand. Smith, pad save. Krause not loose on the cover. Pad.
Smith maximizes his elite quality by constantly jumping into the play. He knows that in the scenario where the puck falls in the enemy's hands, he can easily backcheck. His skating also allows him to make rushes from one end of the ice to the other with great ease. He can outspeed his opponent at will, and even though his offensive flair isn't yet fully developed, the fact remains that as soon as he's on the ice, his team is likely to have possession time in the opposing zone as Smith constantly brings the puck there.
Looking chance there for Max Curran, just missed the mark. Jackson Smith now leading the rush. Into the Everett zone for Sloan. He'll find the slot. Good chance. Anisimowicz stop. Rebound!
City Americans as it's going to go back now for Smith. Getting speed of his own end. Has no teammate with him. He's going to take it through the middle on his own. Pass off now for Gavin. Gavin into the slot. One-timer fan.
His skating also allows him to seize a puck in his own zone and transport it out of danger with great calm. On every possession, his confidence is apparent.
Slot fanned on his shot. Jackson Smith has control. He'll go for a skate behind his net. Smith now skates out from behind as the penalty's about to expire. Successful kill. Smith leading the rush over the Vancouver line. Down the left wing, throws it near the net. Jackson Smith is there to pick it up for Tri-City. Smith looking up ice, skating through traffic and avoiding all of it as he now looks ahead on right wing. McAdams with 10:50 to go in the second. Americans down 2-1. Here's Jackson Smith weaving his way through center. Left the puck.
The technicality surrounding his skating attests to Smith's highly athletic nature. Not only is he very powerful, he is also able of performing moves typically seen in smaller forwards. His hip mobility is excellent, and he regularly demonstrates the ability to skate heel to heel. He uses it from the top of the offensive zone to change his positioning before shooting.
Go back up top to Smith. Walks the line. Jackson Smith looking for a lane. A blocker saved by Pilon.
Gavin plays it on back. Smith. Up top now, Gavin. Gavin down low for Smith at the circles. Smith, 6 men on the ice for the Americans. Walks around the circle, shot, shouldered away by Krause.
One of the situations where he truly benefits from his skating is when it comes time to close down the space and opposing forwards appear to have. He only needs a few strides and suddenly his opponent's options are closed.
Lafreniere over the line on right wing. A bad angle shot is over the line. Sullivan on right wing, heading toward the corner, now backhands the puck in.
He's very good at closing the gap to prevent zone entries. He can go from the center of the ice to the boards in the blink of an eye. In my eyes, he's the best defenseman in this draft at preventing those type of plays, so the zone entries. He's just a very good rush defenseman.
Comes up far left wing. Puck was just rolling on the entire.
The collapse and get control. They'll work it across to an open man in Samuel Bourgeois. He's poked up, still down in the Kamloops zone as the Blazers skate ahead.
Tri-City's defensive core relies heavily on the presence of many older guys, and since Smith already occupies a key position on the power play, his presence on the penalty kill is less frequent. He wasn't a regular on those units, but his game had a lot going for it when he was occupied in that role. He has a pretty good sense of alertness, and his skating allows him to cover a lot of territory, closing down the puck carrier's option. In his own zone, Smith displays a very good stick. He can poke check the puck away from his opponent without too much difficulty. He also demonstrates excellent timing when lifting his opponent's stick.
Bearhoff able to kick it on out for Scott. Here comes a shorthanded opportunity for the Royals. Scott has Fryer rushing that. He lost a handle on it. It's going to go down to the corner. Fryer tried to play it back for Scott. It's going to be moved out quickly. Now for one.
Berkeley Catton on right wing. Got poke check. Jackson on left circle. Raymond down to the corner. Looking to get around Jackson Smith. Raymond centering. Couldn't get the pass where looks to stretch it ahead. Cameron Schmidt on right wing. Schmidt toward the goal line. Stops up. Poke check by Jackson Smith. Smith able to center ice. Trying to drive to the goal. It's Haliburta. He got poke check by Smith.
Darby for Miller. Miller handles it behind the net. Back over to the right side post.
Warriors created a turnover. Kovacevic couldn't get around Jackson Smith. Nice little back check, poke check there by.
And the Blazers now start ahead. Here's Leighton Feist, the defenseman, leading the rush. Poke check by Smith, centering pass.
Over the course of the year, he began to apprehend the physical game. With his size, he can punish his opponents with hits, and while he isn't yet very consistent at this level, a change has happened in his mentality on the ice.
Then they gave it right back to Kelowna. Rockets skating ahead now through center. Dumped in by...
He is also very good at absorbing contact while he can brush away his opponent's hit with ease. We can also see some character in his game as he rushes to the defense of teammates or his goalie after they have been hit.
Cycle in deep. Goldsmith battling, centering pass, and a stop made by Lucas Mateka as he got bumped by Braden Edwards. And now Jackson Smith knocks his man down to the ice, and Smith is...
I also really like the sequence where 2 penalties could have been called against the opposing team at his expense, and seeing that the referee had put away his whistle, Smith decided to take justice into his own hands by going after one of his rivals. One of the most essential aspects of a defenseman is his ability to clear the puck out of his zone. As seen earlier, this isn't a problem when it comes to doing so with his skating.
Will receive the puck back from Zemlak. Smith trying to get around Pickford. He'll play it up ice.
But Smith also has the ability to make a quality first pass.
Goes back over to Jackson Smith. Smith holds onto the puck, heads into his own zone, now works it ahead to Wynot on left.
Standings, keep stacking them up. Got to do it quick enough you don't run out of...
Adam will chop it over to Jackson Smith. Good zone time for Tri-City, but couldn't find the puck on goal. Touch pass into the middle for Jackson Smith, and the Americans skate ahead 3-on-2. Here's Curran over the
to Michaels, but the awkwardly rolling puck bounces its way to Smith, who steers it back over the Wheat King line. First to it is Martin at the left circle, carrying to the corner. Martin tries to feed it back, steered away by Mateka. On the rebound is Smith, but the Wheat Kings escape unscathed on that Americans power play. We're back to 5 aside with 16 minutes to go in the first. Over the Wheat King.
Reversing over to Smith. Looking ahead now, Smith hits the red line, chips it ahead on left wing. Over the
around Reshny. Smith. Up. Zemlak. Plays it on back for Smith. Smith cross ice feed. Finds Wynot. Taken down. Savage will play it around for Smith. Smith up the ice to the right hand side.
However, I have some doubts about whether or not he's able of combining those two qualities. Sometimes I feel like his skating can be used as a crutch. This isn't always a bad thing since when he can identify passing option, he can opt to carry the puck into the offensive zone himself. I believe that when he starts moving, his field of vision narrows and suddenly spotting his teammate can become more difficult. I also believe that his passes are more prone to inaccuracy in those situations.
Smith comes to it near corner, drops it for Smith, comes around right wing looking for some speed out of the Tri-City zone. 6:50 left in the third period, coming around the left wing, pushed off, actually finishing their changes with 4.5 to go in the period. 1-0 lead for Tri-City. Over the line, left wing, Smith grinding it down the boards.
Wide of the Tri-City net. Left wing, why not?
Smith has to chase after it. Crampton fresh out of the box, right behind him. Smith does get control as Tri-City changes. That pass ahead to Garland missed, and the Americans won't be able to forward out of Jackson Vaughn's reach. Jackson Smith looking ahead. Saucer pass forward, too hot.
Offensively, Smith has a fairly good shot. He directs a very high volume of shot on net. This is often the option he will favor over moving the puck. And this is not always a bad idea because Smith is very good at spotting the occasion when there's a lot of traffic in front of the goaltender.
Pass up top, Goldsmith. Here's Jackson Smith with room, skates in and shoots. Swallowed.
Americans, it'll be their second power play of the game. Still waiting to hear the official penalties as they...
On the ice is Fulstrom serving the penalty. Why not a long shot? And goes up top. Jackson Smith midpoint. He'll let it fly through traffic. Stop. Line for Smith. It comes there now. Jackson Smith walks the line. He'll let a long shot go off the
circle for Paveo. Back to Smith up top. Shot to traffic, knocked off the pads. Puck for Tri-City, but getting knocked off the puck, although it does go to the line to Smith. Shot to traffic.
His offensive skills, which he has discovered this year, gives him the confidence to offer himself as an option in dangerous areas.
Gavin walks in, high slot, pass it on up, shot in, chest.
He's also able of gaining the center of the offensive zone with some rather spectacular moves.
He'll go up top to Smith. He skates in. Jackson Smith cuts to the middle, fires on, and Pilon.
King of Garland. Smith from the right point for Tri-City. Drives to his left. Smith pulls the trigger. Another block.
Sloan wins it at the line. Here's Jackson Smith. He's going to skate right down the slot. He'll fire over top of the net.
While it's not his most frequently favored option, he's quite adept at moving the puck. He shows good flashes of vision here or there, and of course his skating remains an offensive catalyst.
Back up top, blue line to Smith. Smith in the slot. Paveo shot.
Zemlak moves on across, finds Smith. Back into the middle, Cook fire.
Curran ahead for Jackson Smith. Over the Everett line, down the left wing. Smith behind the net. Comes out the far side, hooks it in front of the goal. Tipped wide by Skull. Everett defender fell down. Jackson Smith wills it across. Curran throws it on net. Finds Jackson Smith. Looks in across. Burke, one-timer, hit a body in front. Skates his way through center. Ahead to Jackson Smith. Over the left bridge line, heading wide right. Smith now to the blue line for Garland. Into the circle, all the way in behind the net now. Garland doing a lap of his own as he works it back up top for Smith. Just kept it on side. Smith now protecting. Looking in front for Garland. Back door, what a stop by Unger.
Shot blocker side wide. Smith pinching from the left line, checked by Lakovic through the battle, and then
Watching as the puck comes to the blue line. Turned over. Here's Jackson Smith now taking off. A 2-on-0. Smith with Curran. Jackson Smith to Curran. He couldn't shoot the
scoring opportunities. Greatest chance of all was Wynot's redirect.
Here's Jackson Smith now leading the rush. He's got a man heading back door. Anisimowicz scores!
Well, we get a second look at this, and a cross-ice pass. Anisimowicz was on a mission, steaming in the zone on the right wing.
The Americans, here comes Rios onside left wing, lays it back to Smith. Smith curls blue line, the one-time blast on net, popped up in the air, and he goes in for the goal.
Smith's self-discovered confidence with the puck allows him to make some stick-and-ling plays. He can maneuver through traffic in the neutral zone while carrying the puck, and he can make some plays at the offensive blue line.
Zemlak left it on off, moving up. Smith able to dance around one, trying to get around Fryer, swatted away from him, bouncing puck into the high slot, shot on in, at first WHL goal on the last goal for the Royals. Shimon Pluka.
However, the most impressive feat is when he finds himself surrounded by opposing players, appears to have lost control of the puck, and at arm's length, he brings the puck back to his skates, spins around on himself, and retrieves the puck while keeping his forward momentum. A spectacular display of his athleticism. Nevertheless, Smith is often guilty of trying to do too much on the ice. He needs to do a better job of assessing when he can get away with rushing the puck coast to coast and when it's best to temper his play. This is what I had in mind earlier when talking about his identity. Smith sometimes demonstrates a desire to be a high-impact offensive defenseman, but this affects both his defensive play and his collective play. He also tends to be predictable when trying to exploit his opponent's triangle with his puck handling. This indicates to me that his offensive skills were less developed at a young age and that he's currently experimenting a lot on the ice, and some of the things he tries are not necessarily in his toolkit.
To Nick Anisimowicz, swings it over to Jackson Smith, over the Vancouver line, tries a toe drag, puck loosens, skates in the corner.
Behind the net, gets it over to Smith. Jackson Smith charging ahead, away from Temple, carrying it in, poked away by DuPont.
down. Had a 2-on-1 developing with Braden Yager, but the puck was not cooperating. Smith stick handling in.
And the puck's back out to neutral ice. Mateka waiting to get the call back to the bench. Looks like he's going now. Extra attacker coming on for the Americans. Near one. Start the breakout from left to right. Jackson Smith gaining some speed on the wing. Cuts inside. Hawk.
He will have to find the right balance between his offense and defense on his own because at the end of the year, his production exploded, but we saw him somewhat abandon his defensive game. We saw him less involved and above all, more hesitant.
Are down 2-1. Jackson Smith had to wait. He wasn't sure if he should try and challenge Ekstrom. Towards center ice, picked up by Preston over the Tri-City line. Preston drop pass, takes the return feed. Preston trying to center, loose to the over the Americans line. They come just onside. Gustafson fires.
The hesitation is something that has bothered him all year long when defending odd-man rushes, especially 2-on-1. He often finds himself between two chairs, unable to decide in time which option to nullify, the shooter or the pass. And when he does, he completely concedes the other side. In the past, it was thought to cover the passing option and let the goalie take care of the shooter. After all, it is during lateral movements that goalies are most vulnerable. However, it remains very risky to leave a good scorer with time and space in front of your goaltender. Good defenders will find a way to make the pass inaccessible while gradually closing the play towards the puck carrier to make him rush his play. Sam Dickinson was very good at that last year. The other area where Smith struggled defensively is when clearing the front of the net. He has some difficulty of pushing the opponents away from his goaltender's sight, and he's also guilty of being too focused on the puck. So just look at this sequence. It took him quite a while to realize that he should cover his man and clean the front of the net. He was looking at the point, and as soon as the puck goes behind the net, he forgets to cover his man once again. While he remains inconsistent in some areas, I believe that he has the foundation to make a good NHL defenseman. His skating skills and his ability to get the puck out of his zone. The rest for me is just a bonus, but I think that he can contribute offensively, and I see him as a very good third defenseman, so a number 3 who could perform somewhat similarly to what Jacob Chikrin does in his good year. So this is it for the Jackson Smith report. The next one is going to be on Justin Carbonneau, or as you may guys say in English, Justin Carbonneau. I hope you enjoyed and have a great week.
5:15 into the third. 1-1 game at the Toyota Center. Jackson Smith winding it up. Passes over on right wing. Anisimowicz. Burke looking in. Back to Smith. Midpoint. Jackson Smith shoots through traffic. Missed the net. Off the end wall. Loose in front. Slowed whacking away.
And McAdams will look on as Jackson Smith cuts in. Smith's shot denied by Ryder Thompson. Right wing. Towards the front. We're in the driver's seat. You steal one on the road. We win the division. Looks like quite a prestigious team. Shot glove.
Up top. Smith fakes the one-timer. Looks for a lane. Left circle. Floats it on. Goal. Scores! We're going to Burger Ranch. On the goal, Lipinski on his backhand finds Lynn to his backhand, poked away. Odd man rush for Tri-City. Jackson Smith on left wing with Burke. Smith left circle, fires, he scores! Second overtime winner of the season for Jackson Smith. It's a 3. Zemlak holds it in. Over to Jackson Smith, right point, moving to the middle, fires off a body, loose puck in front, fired on. Sloan throws it across the crease, comes up top, Jackson Smith fires on. Caught her in right point. Now to Smith, he'll skate in, Jackson Smith fires just wide. Cruz Paveo backhands it ahead to Smith. Down the left wing in the Vancouver zone. Smith toe drag, fires wide, comes around the boards. Vancouver.
Americans bid that one into the left corner. Blue line shot wired on. Puck's on the right board, turning shot. Welcome into the start of period 3.
Fakes the one-timer. Smith to Garland. Right circle. Garland across. Here's Curran. Touch pass. Jackson Smith fakes. Cutting left. He'll fire on goal. Loose puck is there. Right wing drop pass. Sloan drops it again. Goldsmith to Smith. Left circle. Fires. Kick save.
City zone out of the box of Anisimowicz. And we remain at 5-on-5 with 8.5 left in the second period. Jackson Smith holds on to the puck, searching for a way out as Temple heads back to the bench for a change. Heslop and Chasko on for the tips. 35 seconds left in the 4-on-4 before Savage is freed. Jackson Smith right side. Into the near corner, around behind the net. Smith pursued by Hamill. Looping the perimeter of the zone, now squares to the net on his forehand. Dangles by Chasko. His wrist or a shoulder save.
Goldsmith to Smith on left wing. Skating down the board. Smith left circle. Can't shoot. He'll turn back and go to the blue line for Cale.
Everything, hey?
Yeah, it'd be tough to get the energy back here now.
Smith. Fan on the shot, gets right back on it. Misses.
Center, good touch not to ice it as Smith is back for Tri-City. At his own right circle, he peels back behind his net away from Mateo Michaels. Smith stops on a dime and finds Goldsmith in the corner, sends it across to pinching Jackson Smith. He unloads, Bjarnason makes the pads, bring it to the far side. Garland back to the top for Jackson Smith for a bomb, blocked by her, and it's chopped to center. Knocked away from Michaels, an alert pinch up by Jackson Smith. Twisting back into his own end to the near side.
Give it around, out the near side, now stolen away, and here's Jackson Smith leading the rush through center. Smith in on left wing, waits and fires off the glove of Americans, gets control to the blue line. Jackson Smith, he'll fire, tip just words up to the blue line for Jake Sloan. Sloan in the right circle, now to the top. Here's Jackson Smith. He'll fire off a body.
Neutral zone. It's knocked off his feet as he got as far as the Americans' blue line. Smith coming up ice. Onside right wing. Puts on the brakes, shovels it back. Curran. He'll go blue line. Smith steps into a shot, fired it right into the Gavin. Skates in, give it to Smith. Snap a shot on goal and a save.
Plays it back up top for Smith. Down low. Up top for Gavin. Glove save. Royals defense is going to be sent to the blue line for Smith. Shot in, blocked it away by Krause. Still loose. Why not? Why not? Pass on across. Shot in, swallowed. Played it, left it back for Gavin now. Gavin up top. One-timer. Rebound. Still loose. Krause ties for it. Loose on the puck. Scores. Why? Still slinging around the boards. Looking for Jackson Smith. Finding it. Shot it in. Patted away.
On the goal line. Pass up top. Jackson Smith scores! Ninth of the season to go, and it's a one-goal game. Through some traffic, Jackson Smith.
Front, but blocked by Portland. A long shot, scored! Jackson Smith with a low wrister to the gloves. The low glove side shot in for his 8th of the year in a 1-0 Tri-City lead.
Yeah, kind of caught.
Puck in front, cleared up top. Smith holds it in. Down the slot. Smith, right circle on his backhand. He scores!
And right there, Sanch overplaying that low slot and gave it up high under the bar, and Smith read it well right off the heel of his